15 here on Spirit Connections.
Yay!
Woo! I'm so excited. I wish I had a little peanut gallery so we could hear like the cheers and the little blow horn things.
Confetti.
So yeah, confetti. That would be just like Dick Clark's.
Rockin' Eve.
Rockin' Eve. I know. Did you guys watch that, by the way?
I did.
I did too. It was sad.
I
It was great, but it was sad at the same time.
Dick Clark wasn't there.
I
know.
miss Dick Clark.
It's like end of an era.
I know, but it was really nice how they were able to, put everything together and, Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Janet Jackson, all different groups. Of course, I'm on a Jackson kick apparently this year. But along with New Year's Eve and Christmas or any holiday that you choose to celebrate, everything winds down and we start a brand new year.
Start fresh.
Exactly. And tonight, you guys have seen her before, Miss Robin Curtin, spiritual astrologer. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I love coming on the show. You know that.
Thank you.
And so I'm so happy to be back to talk some more astrology and to answer some questions. And I'm so excited that there is a call-in. That is so cool.
I know.
The people can call in.
Definitely. If you guys have any questions for us or for Robin, you can call in at 781-281-8433. Once again, that's 781-281-8433.
Which stands for?
Which stands for TIFF, T-I-F-F.
I love that.
You know what? And it was all
that
Cody's.
That is so Aries.
That was actually
really
Cody. I know. Which I'm excited we get to talk about tonight.
Yes.
Yeah, the signs and the charts. By the way, guys, if you haven't had your birth chart done yet, I know Robin is booking it really, really quick, but you definitely need to get it done. So tonight she's going to go over my birth chart and Steph's birth chart, which
I'm so excited.
the last time she was on, we really wanted her to do the birth charts for us because we're Aries. Both her and I are Aries. Both Stephanie and I are both Aries. So
Yes.
we are so much alike, but yet so different. So Robin enlightened us to let us know about our moon sign.
Yes.
And also, what's the other sign? I always forget the other one.
Well, what I call the big three, the three captains of the chart, sun, moon, and rising sign. Rising sign. Yes.
I have to remember.
There's Venus, there's Mars, there's all the other planets that are up there. But that's what I call the big three. Like when I teach my classes, I say, first thing we're going to do in my classes and my readings, sun, moon, rising, because those are the three real prominent energies in the chart. So, and the sun is what we all know. When you say, hi, I'm a Virgo, I'm an Aries, that is the sun sign. So where Stephanie and Tiffany both share a sun sign, they are going to be alike in some ways, but that's just one piece to the puzzle that is Stephanie and the puzzle that is Tiffany. So there's a lot of different, if you could get a shot, you would see that.
Actually, could you hold one up and then just so you
this is
guys
Stephanie's, I don't know if they can get, you can kind of see
Possibly.
it.
Usually,
It's a wheel and there's a lot of symbols in there. And
unless Warren, if Warren's not in there, I don't know. No, Warren's not in there. So we'll be able to show it a little bit later. When Warren comes back, he can actually.
That's what always happens.
zoom
Yeah.
in.
But every time we want something to be zoomed in, he's.
I can definitely say,
So-
though, by looking at the chart, yes, it's a wheel. It has very complicated symbols in there. I'm going to stick to talking to people who have passed rather than astrology because it's a whole science. It's not
I was just going to say that.
reading. I can't look at that and even begin to figure it out. So you're extremely talented for that.
Oh, thank you. I just
It's a
spent a
passion.
long time. Yes, it's like and I tell people, if you were going to a foreign country like Russia or China, and you wanted to learn to speak the language fluently, you wouldn't be able to go to an hour class
Right.
and come out speaking fluent Chinese or fluent Russian. And astrology is a language just like that. It's a foreign language. So if you're going to know sun, moon, rising, Venus, all the 12 signs, all the houses, everything that there is to this whole language, it's going to take a while. And I did a correspondence course before I went to school formally for the two-year program at the Astrology Institute. And then I've been doing readings for 10 years, and I'm still learning. Yeah, I'm still learning things. Because there's so much to the language that you can just keep on learning.
And even when you do the act of working on someone's birth chart, it takes you a long time too. So
Yes.
not only do you put a lot of time and effort in learning, excuse me, of course you're fueled by your passion, but it does take time and effort and research pretty much, correct?
It does. I mean, people will say, I can't believe how much goes into it. People will always say, I had no idea that it was this involved.
It is. It is just by looking at it. I'm like, oh, I don't understand it. But I can't wait to hear about it. But it's not for me. That's
Especially when people will take a class and I'll hand them their chart. They'll say, oh, this is so overwhelming. And I'll say, don't worry about it. When you walk out, my first class is just an intensive crash course on, like I said, the big 3, sun, moon, and rising. But then we'll go over Venus and Mars and other things. And then in astrology 2 and 3, I do a lot of refresh, because practice makes permanent. The more you practice something, the more permanent it becomes. So that when you look at it, the more you look at it, the less scared you become, and the more you say, oh yeah, okay, I remember that symbol, I remember that. Just like when we're kids and we're learning our ABCs and 1, 2, 3s and soaking it all up. It's the same thing with astrology, except we're a little older, so we're a little more afraid.
And it changes too. It changes too.
Well, your birth chart that's where the planets were when you were born. So,
Okay.
That's forever. But the planets, they're up there and they're moving and they're going around. So if you sit down with me in 2012 and then sit down with me in 2013, the planets in the sky have moved. So they're going to affect you and affect your chart in different ways.
Well, the last time I sat down with you was 2010.
It was too long ago.
I'm really, really excited. It was my first time meeting her.
Yeah, that was a long time.
Yeah.
I know. I can't believe it's been that long.
I know.
Well, today what I brought was Tiffany and Stephanie's birth chart, meaning when Tiffany was born, and obviously I can say your birthdays, right?
Yes.
You're
Of course.
March 23rd, 1978, and April 13th, 1988 for Stephanie. This is where, and they know their times as well. This is the exact time, right? A lot of people, the times are on your birth certificate. And when you don't know your time, that's where I talk to the person and we can figure out when they were born. But if you know when you were born, it's a lot easier. We can just plug it in. And this is where the planets were at that exact moment that they were coming out in the delivery room. At that exact moment, it's like the sky froze. And this became Stephanie's moment and this became Tiffany's moment. And they are both kind of the living personification of this. It's like, here, I'll switch it. Yes. It's like Tiffany's looking into a mirror when she looks in. This is Tiffany, and this is Stephanie. And because it's a language, that's why a lot of astrologers I know don't like to call them readings. And I think it's because readings, I don't know why they think that it just isn't a good connotation for them. But for me, because I teach, it's a language. We're reading the language. So for me, I feel like it really reflects what I'm doing. And the more we read each part of this chart, and the more we pick apart every little thing that it's saying, the more we learn about both of you. And you learn about yourself to have more awareness and to help make better choices and timing. Before we go into your charts, I have something I need to tell Tiffany. You're doing a fundraiser, right?
Yes.
You're doing a fundraiser.
Yes.
On Friday.
Yes.
When I
Caught me off guard.
saw that, that's okay. I wanted to surprise you. When I saw that online, I said, that is so cool, I have to tell her this. There's a new moon once a month. It's when the sun and the moon meet up in the sky and they kiss. And they're in the same sign, in the exact same degree. And a new moon is just what it sounds like, new, fresh, new, beginning. I always advise people to do important things under a new moon. Friday is the new moon of the month. But not just that, she's doing it for the Duxbury Historical Society. This new moon is in the sign of Capricorn, which rules history. And I'm getting chills right now. I'm getting chills right now. So it's a new moon in the sign of Capricorn, which rules traditional things, historical things. So I just want to tell you that
I have to let them know.
Let them know. And I think it's new moons bring new opportunities, just new things into your life. So I think it's going to be great for you. I think Friday's going to be great. So I just have to share that with her.
And also,
And you all.
just so you guys know, tickets are still available if you email aarnold@duxburyhistory.org. You can still get some tickets. That's a 7 p.m. gallery reading for the Duxbury Rural and Historical Society at the King Caesar House, which is amazing if you guys have been there. I know Steph has.
I did.
I've never
a short
gone,
tour.
but I'm sure it's going to be wonderful. It's a great way to spend a new moon. I mean, it's a great way to...
I'll be there. Yeah, I'm excited.
And
That's awesome.
The energy of the new moon is for a couple days before and a couple days after. So you'll be under the influence still. If you want to begin something, just a little astro advice here. Let's say you want to begin, you've been saying in your New Year's resolution was to start exercising. Or let's say it was to start looking for a new job. Anything new that you want to begin. The new moon is, I make phone calls. I make appointments, anything that I want to begin. The new moon is a great influence because it just kind of blesses it with some good new energy. So the fact that she's doing it on that day, I think is going to bring some good opportunities and good energies for Tiffany and for that place. Now, both being Aries, if you could see this chart, you'd see that there's a circle with a dot in the middle, and that represents the sun in your chart, at least on my software and most software that I've seen. So the sun's up there going around, and when they were born, it was in the sun sign of Aries. And for any of you out there from, say, around March 21st to April 21st during the year. But then we have that whole cusp thing. I'm sure you've heard of the cusps. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it will be in Aries on March 20th. Sometimes on April 22nd, it depends on the year. So if you're on one of those cusps and you're not exactly sure what your sun sign is, you can email me if you have some good software or you're on a good reputable website. You can plug it in and look it up for that year. But we know that they're Aries. So what I really wanted to do is talk just a little bit about Aries and then just have the girls share how that manifests in your life. Aries, well, first, the symbol.
Go on.
The way that you can really wrap your brain around a sign is to look at the symbol. And the universe shows us that Aries, the energy of Aries, is the energy of a ram. So if you ever Google Aries into Google Images or something like that, you'll see the ram with the big horns, okay, the big horns. And it's basically the energy of, I'm on a mission, I have something to do, here's my big horns to help me because I need people to clear out of my way. And that's because it's the sign of impulse. It means I have something that I need to do and I need it done right now, yesterday if possible. Aries it's an energy that can be, it's hard to wait. If you have an impulse, it's a sign that signifies the infant, okay, a newborn. You think about a newborn baby. If she has the impulse to have a bottle, she's not going to wait. She's not going to wait 1 second. Why should she? She'd just cry to let mom know, hey, I'm hungry, or hey, I need to be picked up, or whatever the infant needs. And the sign, it corresponds with a chronological age in life, the infant. It corresponds to a symbol. It also corresponds to an element. And you've probably heard of these elements, fire, earth, air, and water. This is fire. And with Aries being the first sign in the zodiac, it's primal fire. It's not only fire, it's the first sign in the zodiac.
Pretty much watch
number
out.
One.
Yeah, watch out.
I'm number one. That's what Aries says. So it says, I have something to do, and when you light a fire, it just goes forward and keeps burning until you try to stamp it out, throw some water on it. And I really wouldn't try. I would just, I'd just dodge, just stay out of the way. And I have to tell you, for years, I did not get any Aries sun people coming to me for readings. I would get all other sun signs and not Aries, and I would think, why? Why don't I get Aries? And then it just kind of dawned on me when I thought of the energy. I said, they're too busy. They're too busy living life to sit down and really examine it. Like, why should I sit and look at my life? I live my life every day. I know who I am. I'm Stephanie. You know, I know all about me. So why do I need to sit down and have an astrologer tell me about me? But I am getting, I have gotten a lot of Aries though in the past few years, and they all started to come, and I think it's all this shift that's been happening. They call it the 12/21 shift. You know, the December 21st, the whole end of the Mayan calendar thing, but it's really just a shift towards everyone thinking, I think everyone just wanting more awareness about themselves, about their world. So that's why Aries comes now. Aries will come and say, I want to know. My mom is an Aries, and even though I've been doing astrology, I've been doing readings for 10 years, she just within the last year, within the last 6 months, said, I want a reading. And I said, oh, Mom, yay. And it was awesome. It was great. And she has, I think, at least 2, maybe 3 Aries planets in her chart, including the sun. But she really wanted to sit down and examine things. So with Aries being the sign of independence, it's a sign of staying in your own energy field and being aware of what you need and having the fire to go get it, being very passionate about what you need. So I don't know who wants to go first, but just to talk about how that energy has manifested in your life.
Okay, I'll go first. I've always been that way. I've always been a go-getter, whether it's maybe not so much with school, but pretty much anything that I wanted. Like, I can remember my parents telling me at an early, I always wanted to go to Disney. I don't know why, but I always wanted to go. So, and at the time, my parents were in like a financial situation where they could afford to bring my sister and I to Disney. So my mom was like, all right, well, you know what? You're going to have to get a job if you want to go. Well, sure enough. All right, game on. And so that's what I did. I just, right at 16, I mean, I had paper routes before, but right at 16, got the job, went at 16, then went again at 17. And then I have been back. Not a huge Disney fan, but I'm just saying that was kind of like, my parents were just like, okay, well, if you want it, then you're going to have to do this. So it was pretty much, they would say, okay, you're at point A. In order to get to point B, this is what you're going to have to do. And I was like, all right, consider it done. And so that's kind of...
You just did it.
Yeah.
And that is Aries.
It was fearless, too. I can remember doing, because I did a lot of not acting. I was never in TV or anything like that, but just I would.
Now you are.
Yeah. No, I am. But I would do. You know, I would be part of like an acting theater when I was younger. You know, I would be the first one out there, the first one to try it for the audition. Like just being fearless. You just do what you got to do and live your life and be very passionate about it. And there's no other way. There's no other option.
Right, it's just your nature.
Right.
It's your nature, it's who you are. People say, that's so me. I say, I know, the universe wrote it down. It's right here. I know it's so you. People say, that's freaky how you know that. I'm just the messenger, okay? The universe, when it wrote down your chart, it wrote down who you are so that you can look in a mirror and say, this is me and I'm here. I'm really here for a reason. There's a plan for me because the universe wrote me down. We're not all just floating around randomly.
I was 2 months early, too. Because I was like, you know what? I know I'm 3 pounds. I got things to do. And so I was in an incubator for a month, but that didn't keep me.
And you weren't meant to be a Pisces or an Aquarius, which is what you were meant to be, an Aries.
I was 2 months. Oh, yeah. I see
Yeah.
what you mean. Yeah, I was 2 months
if you were born
early.
earlier.
No, I was supposed to be born in May.
Oh, you were supposed to be born, you're supposed to be a Taurus or a Gemini, and you weren't meant to be.
You wouldn't have made a good Taurus or Gemini.
No. No. That's a lie.
Well, she wouldn't be her.
No.
She would be a completely different Tiffany.
That would be interesting.
If she was, yeah, because that sums up the energy right there.
2 months early. Get me out of here. I'm 3 pounds. I'm walking out of this joint.
And I'm thinking about Disney too. I mean, someone gives you have an impulse. I need to do this.
Right.
So, and someone says, okay, here's what you need to do then. Then those horns come out. I'm on a mission now.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about I have a mission I need to fulfill, and no one, nothing, money that's going to get in my way. I'm going to get to Disney.
Mm-hmm.
And you got there. And
Yeah.
then it's what's the next thing? And like you said, fearless. There's so much courage.
But there's one other thing that I'll ask you after Steph answers too, because, wait, let me just make sure I remember it. Okay.
Here's a paper and pen, write it down. Because we know you're not going to.
Okay. Steph, you can answer as I write it.
How Aries has affected my life. I'm sure my whole family and my husband are sitting back laughing right now, waiting for my answer because everything you said is 100% true. I have no patience. I have patience for certain things, but for everyday life things, like I hate to cook just because I hate waiting for my food. I hate sitting in a restaurant starving, waiting for my food. If I can make something in 3 seconds and have it, it's all about instant gratification. That's
you
probably
could read what I'm writing.
That's funny. Instant gratification. I love it.
My whole life, I've played a lot, even as a kid, with the law of attraction, because that's instant gratification for me. If I play with the law of attraction, it brings it to me faster than going out and getting it myself. I mean, I'm putting it out there, putting the energy constantly out there, and it's coming to me faster than trying to sit down, like one of those really analytical people. I don't know which sign would fit that, but like, okay, let me calculate.
Virgo.
Yeah, like, let me calculate how to do that. I knew instantly if I put it out there, it's going to come to me. And I played with the instant gratification a lot, even as a child. Like when The Secret came out, I was like, oh, what's this all about? My mom's like, you've been doing that your whole life.
You know
I'm
it.
like, I just knew that's how to get things faster. I'm constantly on a mission. If I believe in something, it's wholeheartedly passionate, like, go get it right now. Like, I could sit there and talk to you for hours and hours about what I believe in passionately because that's how I feel.
Yes.
I'm a complete leader, not a follower, never do well with people telling me what to do. My husband and my whole family used to laugh like I can't be tamed. It's absolutely impossible. Like if I'm on a roll, leave me, let me go.
There's everybody
Like I said,
else's
give
time and then
some
our
space.
time.
They-
Like that's what it is.
They sent me the wrong refrigerator at Scratch and Dent. We went to get our refrigerator. They actually figured it'd be cheaper, and actually it wasn't really that dented, so we were pretty good. They sent us the wrong one. I made a phone call. Within not even 15 minutes, they were delivering a brand new fridge in box, never touched before. My husband's like, you know what? You're making all the phone calls from here on out. But that's how I am. Like, give me that phone right now. I'm gonna fix this, and I know exactly how to fix it. I think a lot of my intuition helps me do that too, on top of my personality.
Right.
So I think you can't really live life without intuition. And I don't know if that has to do with Aries or not, but it's just, I kind of know when to enter a certain situation or how to enter it, and then my whole Aries just blows up the situation and it ends up being what it is. I laugh at myself sometimes because I can totally understand, like, ooh, that was an Aries move. I shouldn't have done that, but you can't help it because it's part of you as much
It's
as you
your
don't
nature.
want to think so. I can't believe, like, people don't believe in, like, sun signs and stuff. It's impossible not to. Our personalities totally reflect it.
But one of the things I was going to ask too, and for those of you guys that are just joining us, we have Robin Curtin, Spiritual Astrologer, on, and she's actually comparing Stephanie and I. We're both Aries, but there's so much more, so she has both of our birth charts. So, and I know we have so much information to go over. So if you guys do have questions, get them into the chat room. Feel free to call 781-281-8433, and we will get to you as soon as we possibly can. The question, just really quick, what I was going to say is, I feel like a lot of times that because we're like, okay, what we've accomplished, what's next? People take that into, are you never going to be settled? Are you never going, like, are you unhappy? Because you're always going to think of, well, okay, after I do this, then what's after that, you know? And I think that's almost a problem. I don't know if it's come into your life at all, Steph, but people have said that, like, well, are you not going to be happy? Like, okay, once you do this, you're going to be going someplace else, like.
That's because they're not Aries and they don't understand it.
Right.
They're
The
not
way I look,
Aries,
yeah.
so they might think, oh, that, you know, because I'm not an Aries, because I'm, say, more an earthy sign, and
You're a Virgo.
Yeah, because, you know, or not just me, because I understand, but someone else who might not have that energy
Right.
to work with and might think, oh, that would make me so unhappy. So she must be so unhappy. But you're like, that's my nature, and this is what I'm here to do.
But pretty
This is
much
what
like
you're here to
unbridled
do.
stallions.
Yeah, that's what
A
you're here to
Mustang,
do.
if you will.
Yeah, you're here.
Alright.
You're here to be. I mean, this is why you were given the energy,
Mm-hmm.
because there are things that you need to do in this life,
Right.
and things that you need to do. So the universe gave you the fire to do it, so you could go forward and do it, and learn and grow, and that's why we're here. And it's funny. I'm listening to you talk, and the Aries. I see the thoughts just coming here and here, here and
Yeah.
here. I'm like, there's no filter. She thinks it and she says it.
No,
She
that's
thinks it
exactly
and
how I am.
that's it.
Yep.
And I have people in my family with I have a lot of Aries energy in my family, so I'm so used to the energy, and I was raised around it, and I love it. And fire also is warm, and you think of what they're talking about, and selfish gets a bad rap, that word.
Yep.
That's why they have an ish on the end of it. Because it's not
like
just
that.
self. It's not just self, it's selfish. Because fire signs are warm. I mean, you think you warm yourself by a fire. Fire signs are warm and generous and giving, and they will do just as much for you, too, as they do for themselves.
Do we have a phone call?
Question.
Ooh. The cord just needs to be long enough to reach
Yeah,
us.
we're still getting
I wonder
the
if it's an
gist of-
Aries
I
person
know.
who's like, "Hey."
Hello, who are we on the air with?
Hi, this is Kelly. How are you guys?
Good,
Hi, good.
I'm good. I'm so glad you guys are doing this today. It's such an interesting topic.
We thought so.
So glad.
We love
So
having
glad.
Robin on.
Well, and I think it's so funny that both Tiff and Steph are Aries, and they have such different personalities too, and very similar at the same time.
I know. I
Yeah.
can't. You're gonna have to listen to what she has to say because I'm
Yeah.
so excited.
I'm like on the edge of my seat right
I
now
know.
waiting for the answers because we've been saying this for years that we get along so well. We can go anywhere together, work business together, pleasure, it doesn't matter, but we're both Aries, so how does that happen? So we decided like we should be butting horns, so to speak, but we
I
don't.
know.
So we wanted to know why.
Exactly. I mean, a lot of times similar signs seem to not get along as well as you guys do. So that's what's so interesting about your dynamic.
I know.
We
It
thought
is
so.
really
It's.
interesting.
I think
isn't
it's
it?
definitely like Robin says. There's the 3 signs. It definitely has to do with the other 2 for Steph and other 2 for me. I know I'm a double Virgo. I always look up. I don't know why.
Because the voice is coming from
know.
beyond.
I know. I'm like, hello.
Right, but this is a great way to prove too that there is so much more besides like you pick up a book and your zodiac sign and read your horoscope. Astrology has so much more to do with it. It's just
And it's
there's-
all scientific
it's
too.
behind the scenes.
Yeah.
It's awesome. So I can't wait to find out.
Absolutely.
More in depth,
I
absolutely.
don't want to interrupt what you guys are talking about right now. I was actually going to pose this question for later in the show. But I was just curious if there were any key aspects that I should know about my own birth date and sign.
For your, what's the most important thing to know?
Yeah, well, I'm born on February 21st, 1978. I'm a Pisces.
So, okay, so you definitely know that you're a Pisces. You've had your chart done because you're on that cusp.
Yes, I was born on a Tuesday at 6:14 a.m.
Yes, and like I said, there's a science to this, so that every astrologer you go to should say that you're a Pisces. If they don't, get your money back, okay? That's the science to it. But there's also in art, where you go to me, or you go to another astrologer, you're going to get a different reading because I might focus on something completely different than another astrologer does. And like they said, I've really focused in my initial reading on the sun, the moon, the rising sign, and then I'll look at Venus and Mars, and then look at what's called transits, which are where the planets are in the sky now in relationship to your birth chart, which tells what's going on with you now and what's coming up for the future. So in just reading about you, I would say read about your sun sign, your moon sign, and your rising sign. Will tell a lot.
Those are the important ones. Okay.
Yeah.
But the good thing too, Cal, is that if you are interested, Robin does do the birth charts, and like I said before, the last time her and I sat down on our own, it was back in 2010. But it was absolutely amazing, and I kind of needed a little bit of a kind of, whether it was an idea and an acceptance of what was going on in my life at that particular time, it was absolutely great to be able to do that. So that might be something that you want to look into.
I was just going to say that, Kelly. I think we should take a field trip and we'll go visit Robin.
We can do it at my office in Pembroke.
Yay, come see me.
This coming year, I just feel like there's so many changes that are going to be happening. And
Good.
it's nice to kind of have an idea, what's in the future, like when I should plan things, what's the best time. So I definitely think we should plan a field trip.
I think so too.
That's time. I always tell people timing is my business. People like to know, when is this going to happen? When is this going to end?
Yeah.
If people are feeling stuck or frustrated, just to let them know that there's going to be an end in sight. Makes them feel better.
And you teach classes too. Which
And I
is
teach
good.
astrology classes so that you can look at your chart, look at your boyfriends, your husbands, your best friends, look at other people's and get some knowledge. Yeah.
That sounds good. Well, I will definitely be in touch and we'll try to plan something.
Yay.
Yay!
Awesome.
Thank you. Great question.
Thank you for calling. So good to hear from you.
Happy New Year!
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye. So we talk about the sun. And before we move on to the moon, what I think is really interesting that Stephanie said is she said, my husband, the people close to me are probably laughing. And this is something that I always say in my classes. When you look at the sun, you're actually looking at something that's a part of what I call the inner you. Because when someone first meets you, when someone first meets Stephanie or first meets Tiffany, they don't know how they do things. They don't know how driven they are. If you're just saying, hello, how are you, nice to meet you, you're just seeing this, okay, which is actually the rising sign, the body and the mannerisms and the outer personality. But how you do things in your life, what kind of experiences you need to feel like yourself, that's the sun sign. So of course her husband's gonna know how she likes to do things because he's seen her day after day, week after week, year after year. He's seen the way she acts in her daily life, and that's what the sun is. So how are these girls different, even though they're both Aries suns?
Do tell.
Look at the moon. This is going to be an aha moment, I think. This is so interesting.
I can't wait.
Stephanie's,
I'm hoping I
and I'm
give
going
you
to
the
write.
right
I'm going to
time.
write right on this because
Okay.
this is yours. Stephanie's moon is in, drum roll please, Pisces. And what's your moon, Tiffany? You know.
I'm Virgo.
Virgo. Well, guess what? Every sign in the zodiac has an opposite. Cancer is opposite. Capricorn, Aries is opposite Libra. Virgo and Pisces are opposite each other in the zodiac.
That's funny.
So they have suns that are right together in the same sign. And then here is Stephanie's Pisces moon. And here is Tiffany's Virgo moon. Now, sometimes you would think, oh, opposites mean that they're going to clash. No, not in astrology. If you think about it, opposites are on the same line. They're on the same axis. So
Opposites attract. Polar and dual.
opposites attract. 80 songs, my favorite. Opposites attract, and that's where I think it comes from because it's true. Opposites in the zodiac, they have the capacity to meet in the middle. There are some signs that will never see eye to eye. They'll always be in conflict. They just don't understand each other. They have nothing in common. Virgo and Pisces, actually, they can meet in the middle and balance each other out, which is really nice. So what do these two signs mean? Virgo, and Stephanie just intuitively gave me the segue by saying, I don't know what the sign of analysis is. And I said, Virgo. That is her moon. Now first, you might be sitting there saying, okay, moon, what is moon? What does a moon mean? Where the sun is how we act and what we do, the way we do things. It's a masculine energy. The moon is the feminine energy in the birth chart. It's not how we act, but it's how we react to things. It's our emotional nature. So it's not what we do, it's how we feel. And think about it, how important to your psyche is your emotional nature? How important are your feelings to you in your life? They're huge. They're just as important as the sun. This is why I call the moon one of the big three. So we look at the sign to say, how does Stephanie react to things? And how does Tiffany feel about things? What's her emotional nature like? You think of people's emotional natures. A lot of people get angry really easily. You say, oh, that person has a bad temper. I walk on eggshells around them. Some people are so calm and cool, you say, you know what, I've never seen that person get angry. And there's everything in between. Some people wear their heart on their sleeve, and they're always crying, and they're always emotional, and they're always dramatic. There's all different kinds of emotional natures. So Tiffany's with the Virgo. Virgo is, again, the sign of analysis. It's the sign of the details. Okay, so she's going to be emotionally connected to making sure she figures out every single little thing.
What were you guys doing yesterday? Why wasn't I invited?
Yeah.
I saw the pictures on Facebook.
Yep.
You might open an astrology book and read little blurbs about these signs. And like I said, Aries, Aries are selfish. Well, that's giving it a bad rap. That's a bad connotation, because it's not that Aries are selfish, it's that Aries are aware of their own needs and need to get them met. So yeah. Virgo. You might read, Virgos are picky. Virgos are discriminating. Virgos are, seeing the forest for the trees, or they're nagging, or and you'll read that and say, well, isn't there anything good about Virgo? Why? How did this reputation come about? Well, it's because Virgo, let's look at the symbol, the Virgin, is pure. So it's about purity of intention. And it's because Virgo is the sign of service, just wants to help. And in the zodiac, the Virgin just stands alone, all by herself. She hasn't let anybody touch her. She is pure. She hasn't had a boyfriend yet. She hasn't had, she's not married. She's all by herself, doing it by herself. Very capable. It's a sign of being capable, and it's a sign of work and service. So she's going to be emotionally connected to helping people. How can I help you? How can I help you? If someone says, does anybody have a pen? She's probably rifling through her bag. Hold on, I think I do. She has that emotional connection to, and this is interesting with the Virgo sun, the Aries sun, because Aries is independence, doing it by yourself. And then here's an energy of Virgo, the Virgin, all by herself and being capable. So here's your North Node in Libra, remember?
Walk alone.
So one of her challenges is going to be to open up and let somebody help her, to let someone in, and to be vulnerable.
I feel like I'm in therapy.
I'm telling you, that's what astrology is like. I always say it is like therapy, but it's more fun. It's more fun. It's more fun, and it takes less time. So that's Virgo, but on the other end of the spectrum is Pisces. And Pisces, where Virgo is the sign of the details, Pisces is the sign of the big picture. The biggest picture there is.
I wish you could be part of our phone conversations.
I know, because you analyze them perfectly. It'd be fantastic.
How do you think the show went? Blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. Well, I think going forward, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So where Tiffany's Virgo moon will say, I'm anxious, I'm worried. Her Pisces moon will say, what are you worried about? Just let go. Relax, Tiffany. Relax. Virgo is, again, so anxious just because it wants to do a good job. Really wants to do a good job. And it's the sign of perfection.
Crazy, isn't
perfection. It? And can anything really be perfect?
Well,
That's your Aries.
The Aries says, yeah, I think so. You've got perfection sitting right at the end of this table. You're so funny.
Oh my God, Tiff.
So, where I have my sun and moon in Virgo, I understand this energy well. And that if you're going to not so much look at the things that went well, you're going to look at the things that didn't go so well, because those are the things that you need to fix. And that's where the picky, nagging reputation comes in. Because you're like, why are you always picking apart the things that aren't working? And it's because I want things to be the best that they can be, and that's not a bad thing. But also, here comes Pisces, saying you got to look at the good things too. You have to see both sides of it. So what's Pisces all about? Pisces is, it's a very spiritual sign. It's a very psychic sign. It's a sign of the fish, but not just fish, two fishes. One fish swimming down to earth, and one fish swimming up to whatever you want to call it, the universe, heaven, all that there is. So it's really like Pisces only has 1 foot here, and the rest of it is connected to everything.
I've been saying that for years. It's hilarious that you say that. I say I have 1 foot here, 1 foot on the other side.
Yeah.
Just listening to everything else. I'm not always here.
You're not always here.
Right.
When you're activating your Aries, you're definitely here, because the fire sign has things to do. But Pisces, and let's say someone confronts you, the Aries is going to be like, oh no, you didn't. But the Pisces is going to say, if the Pisces is kicking in, what does the fish want to do? Just swim away. I don't want to deal with this. So Pisces can totally just isolate and swim away and say, you know what?
Meanwhile, I'm a pit bull. Like, who said what? What?
I'm like that, but at the same time, if I'm mad about something, everybody knows I ignore the world. I will not speak to you. If that one person does, I will ignore them, pretend their existence is not there.
Just not there.
Yep.
Just that's
And I do it all
the
the
fish
time.
swimming away. And this is where her Aries and Virgo are working. They're both the very independent, standing alone energy, so they have something similar. Aries and Pisces, nothing in common in the zodiac. So she's got her two of her biggies, two of her captains, her sun and her moon, in very, very different signs. One's a fire sign, one's a water sign. Okay, one wants to go, 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 and one wants to hang back and say, hey, everything's okay. You know, we don't need to rush. We don't need to hurry. So it's kind of like a conversation that plays in her head all the time. What are we going to do? Are we going to hang back, or are we going to go forward? What am I going to do? So those are the decisions that she makes every day. But between the two of them, it really is an opposites attract type of energy, because they balance each other off. When she gets all stressed, she can calm her down. And
That's what we talk about all the time.
And when Pisces gets overwhelmed and just sees the big picture and can't find the details, she can do the structure. You can say, I just can't write the letters, or I can't do the little detailed stuff. It's too tedious for me. I can't do
say that
it.
all
She
the
says,
time.
I'll do it. I'll write it. Don't worry. I'll make the list. Because Virgo's all about making lists.
I told her that she became my unofficial manager for a while, because we had all these events to go to, and my head was, I don't know, down in the water somewhere being a fish, because I couldn't deal with it. And she would just be like, we're going here this day at this time, boom, write it down. And that's exactly how we were for like 3 months. Like, Tiff was booking all of the things for me.
Yeah.
But then Tiff gets overwhelmed to the point, I can't deal with this, oh my God. I'm like, don't worry about it. Ready? We're going to do a meditation over the
Crying in
phone.
a corner.
Yeah.
A lollipop.
We're doing a meditation over the phone on the way to an event. Tiff, don't do this. She's like, I was like, picture this stuff. And then she finally tells me she's driving. I'm like, Tiff, you should not do this while we're driving. Do not do the meditation. Cancel, abort.
I'm almost there.
But this is our everyday life. If you heard our phone conversations, even today, it's just that's how it goes constantly,
That's how
back
it
and
goes.
forth.
And it's a good balance.
Yep.
So if you're just doing sun sign astrology, you're just getting a really narrow view of the people that you're looking at. So if you just looked at the two of them and saw the big horns, you'd say, how can they work so well together? Because, like I said, aren't the horns aren't they clashing? Aren't they always in conflict? But that Aries is the way that they do things. So it's good that it's similar, that you want to move forward. You want to move forward. If you didn't have the same sun sign, it might be a problem.
Right.
You both have the same way of doing things. You're both on a mission. You're on a mission together.
And it's usually the same mission, which is
Right,
pretty good.
exactly.
It's
But we
the
just
same
have
mission.
different ways of getting there.
Yeah.
But how you feel about things and how you emotionally go about things, one's here, and you balance each other off. So that's what's so nice about it, makes it a good working relationship. And Pisces too, there are 3 water signs in the zodiac. Cancer, deep waters. Scorpio, deeper. Pisces, the deepest waters of the zodiac. So with a Pisces moon, like she said, sometimes she can just say, I'm swimming away, I'm not dealing with it. Because sometimes the feelings of the Pisces moon go so deep, you're like, I got to figure out how I feel before I can even tell you.
Yep.
Okay, let me go away and figure out how I feel. So that's actually, when I think about that, that's similar to Aries in the way that Aries needs to be by itself. And when the Pisces moon needs to process, you need alone time.
Yep.
So I'm sure your husband knows, people close to you. Again, the moon is the inner you as well. When you first meet someone, you're not going to know how they react to things. You haven't been around them long enough. You have to be around them a while, and then you say, okay, now I know when I say this to her how she's going to react to it, because I know her really well. But the sun and the moon are the inner you. So these guys know each other really well. You know when you say something to her, you pretty much know how she's going to react to it, and you know how she's going to react to it. So this is the balance that really makes them work well together. And this is how, and what we're doing right now is called a relationship reading. One of the other things that I offer.
We are like an old married couple.
But that's great, especially, you know, beginning of a new year. You want to know where's this relationship heading, so it's great for like you and your partner, or even a friendship, you know.
Anything. I've been doing a lot of parent-child readings lately.
Oh, wow.
A
Interesting.
lot. People want to know, how can I parent my children better? And if people are into astrology, they'll say, I really want to know my child's chart, because that'll give me insight into their sun, moon, rising, and how they do things. So then when a little guy is running around, you'll say, oh, he's just being his Aries self.
Yep.
And you'll have more acceptance and a lot more patience with your children, and you'll know more what they need because you've really studied their chart and you have more awareness.
Now, I know we only have a few minutes left.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
I know, right?
We still have so much more. So is there any way you could go over the third sign with us?
The rising sign.
The rising sign.
The rising sign is, now we've only been talking about the inner you, the sun, how you do things in your daily life, and the moon, how you feel about things and react in your daily life. But we aren't just souls. We walk around in something. We have our vehicles. So the universe puts everything into the birth chart for us to see, everything. And it's not going to leave out our bodies, because without our vehicle, we can't be here. So the rising sign is what signifies our physical presence in the world. And you think about when you meet someone, you get an impression. Oh, he dawns on me as a real jerk. Okay, someone makes an impression on you, a bad impression, a good impression. You say, oh, she dawns on me as a real down-to-earth type of person. This is the rising sign, and it's good to know how you come across to other people, because unless you're watching yourself on TV, on video all the time, or I mean, you really don't know how you come across. So knowing your chart, knowing your rising sign helps you get that piece to the puzzle. And Tiffany, she said she's a double Virgo because her moon and her rising sign are both in Virgo. So she knows this. Stephanie's rising sign, we come to a completely different sign. So she's got 3 completely different energies at work here. Is that a surprise?
No. Interesting, but no.
Sun in Aries, fire. Moon in Pisces, water. Now we come to a third sign and a third element. Gemini rising.
Oh, Gemini.
Which is an air sign. And air is the realm of the mind. Always thinking, and always going. And the symbol is the twins. So whenever I see Gemini, I think of living 2 lives. Living 2 lives within one person. People are always saying to you, I don't know how you do it all. I don't know how you do it all. And you, especially with the fire of Aries, you can do it all. And I think the universe gave you a Pisces moon to give you a break from all that, from all of that stuff. It's always a balance. I always see that. You wouldn't have an Aries moon, too. It would be too overwhelming for you to have all that, because Gemini, with the twins, it's about communication. You need to get your thoughts across. So when people meet her, they see her as, someone who wants to know. I want to know. Tell me, tell me, tell me, tell me, tell me. As a little kid,
I just
don't
say
know if you
one
drove
thing?
Mom crazy when you were little.
I drive my husband crazy every single
Can I
day.
just no, I'll say something like, "Oh, did you get an email? Blah blah blah." Why? That's the first, and I get so annoyed. I'm like, I could say something like, "Oh, is it warm outside? Why?
Why?
Why? Why?" I'm like, I don't know. I just
Because I want to know. Tell me why you're asking me.
why.
I do it all the time. My husband, I ask questions, and I say something like, why is the sky blue? Something ridiculous like that. And I come up with these questions. Like, you let a dog outside, and while it's raining, it comes in smelling funny. Why does it smell funny? Something stupid like that. But I ask, and he finally looks at me, he's like, you and your whys. You always have
I'm
to
so
ask
glad I'm
questions.
not the only one,
And he
because I'm
does
like,
it.
is she just trying to annoy
No,
you today?
it's just me. And I tell everybody, and I constantly ask question after question after question, and go, I'm sorry, I know I'm annoying you right now, but I don't know unless I ask.
That's right.
And that's exactly how I say, like, I don't know unless I research it. I don't know unless I ask the correct questions.
Right.
And I tell everybody I'm a nerd, but maybe it's just because I'm a Gemini. Like, it's just how it comes
This is-
across. I
yes.
need to know.
You need to know, and this is how you connect with your immediate environment. When people first see you, what are they going to see? They're going to see someone who is always, you're just an eternal student, is what I think
Yep.
of when I see that. You're never going to stop learning. You're never going to stop asking those questions. Now, every sign is ruled by a planet. Okay, like Venus rules over Libra, and Mars rules over Aries. Well, Mercury rules over 2 signs, and 2 signs only: Gemini, her rising, and Virgo, her rising. So here's another connection, because Mercury is the planet of the mind. So even though she's got the energy of always asking, Virgo also, like I said, the details, needs to know as well, and needs to pick things apart to find out how it works. You need to know how things work, maybe in a different way than she does, but you still both have that hunger for knowledge. You're always going to be learning as well. So Mercury, the planet of the mind, the planet of communication. I mean, it's not a surprise that you're doing this or that you're doing this, because it's communication. Right now we're communicating with, we don't even know who's out there listening.
Hopefully somebody. Anybody?
Hi, Bob.
Hello.
So here's another connection between, so we can look at their charts, and just in their big 3, they've both got the Aries sun, they've got 2, their moons are a balance on either side of the spectrum with Virgo and Pisces, and they've both got the Mercury connection with their Gemini and Virgo rising. So between the big 3, I would say, you'd make a good married couple.
Oh, good. I'm sorry, I'm already taken. But it's good because we have, even though it's nothing solid, a working business partnership. Everything we do together.
Yes.
Like, people know, where's Tiff? Steph's right behind her. Where's Steph? Tiff's right behind her. It's
Right.
just, it's constant. We're in an awkward situation, we're stuck together. It's constant. We might butt horns, occasionally with the Aries part, but my Pisces knows how to talk her Virgo down, and her Virgo knows how to break things down to me in order to understand it. So it's interesting to see exactly how it works. Like, I knew how it works, but now
But to see it in black and white, and to see it spelled out is such, it's all a validation. These are things that you already knew, and to see them in black and white just validates it.
I'm
even more.
nervous now because now I'm second guessing my time of birth. I know it was. I'm gonna have to ask my mom, one of my moms.
Why?
Well, because now I'm not sure if it was that time. I know it was the afternoon, but I don't know if it was either 2 or 3.
That might not make a difference.
Okay.
There's usually only a couple signs rising, a few signs rising a day.
Erroneous.
I was going to say, you just threw the whole thing out the window. That's a total Tiff
No, but I
move.
think sometimes people will say to me, "Oh, you know what? I told you I was born this time, and I was born, an hour before." And I'll look and I'll say, "Oh, well, that just it would either have been 5 degrees Virgo or 29 degrees Virgo.
Oh, okay.
Still the same sign,
Okay.
just a different degree, which doesn't make it, a
Well,
difference
now I'm
in
gonna
the
find
sign.
out.
Here's
for
my
sure.
Aries kicking in. I don't care about your stupid wheel.
It's like,
I care about my wheel.
But we have run out of time. But I want to thank you again for being a part of
You're
Spirit
welcome. My
Connections.
pleasure.
And you guys really have to try to get in touch with Robin
Yes.
for your own
Thank
personal
you.
birth chart. Thank you so much. You can contact Robin at Virgo Princess.
Virgo Princess 31 at Hotmail or on Facebook /Robin Curtin Astrologer.
Yes.
Come see
Yay.
me.
All right, guys. Well, we have run out of time, but thank you again. Thank you, Kelly, for calling. That phone line is always open. So next time, guys, make sure you call, and we will see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night.
Bye.